RBEF, Riverside Brookfield Educational Foundation. Ms. Joanne Kosey. Thank you, Mr. Franco. Let's do this. And I'll take one of these. Let's do, should be 3 or 4 of these, John. One of each. Matt, take those that way. Just 4 this way. 4 that way. Ms. Kosey, why don't you start with the officers for the 2013-14 school year?
Actually, they haven't been elected as of yet. That happens at our June meeting. So what you have before you are the current officers, which would be myself as president, Tony Mazio as treasurer. We don't have a vice president, and due to illness, our secretary needed to resign. So we've been having a secretary pro tem for each meeting. You also have the list of our 7 trustees, Mr. Franco being one of them, and when their term ends.
Thank you. A summary of the financials for the 2012-13 school year.
Okay, you have that in front of you, and the last approved financial is in February, and March, April, and May financial statements will be posted pending approval at the June meeting. They were not approved at our May meeting because our May meeting actually was a special meeting where we worked on our grants. And all will updated at the close of our fiscal year, which ends June 30th, 2013. And that information will be all on our website. We also changed accountants. Mr. Paddock is ours also.
Okay. Any questions, board? Major donations, projects accomplished with the school district during 2012-13 school year.
Okay, we only have one fundraising effort, and that's our telethon, which normally is in October. We had planned it for October 2012. However, when we had originally set the date, we did not realize that it was a 3-day weekend, and when we discovered that there was going to be a lot of people gone and it would be difficult to, A, get volunteers, a lot of people were going on college searches, so we decided to change the date and we moved it to February, and we found actually that the February date was better, so that for next year we're scheduling it for February also. We had $25,151 pledged. To date, we've received $23,121, and of this amount, $2,500 are restricted fees. And if you have any questions on the restricted fees, I'd be glad to explain that.
So that's not showing up in here?
It is in the total amount pledged, but...
So where would I find that on your financial statement?
Don't we have... Oh, if you go to the third page where you see the Kristen First Scholarship, the Dawn Heller, those fees are, we received monies, and they are restricted because they are going into those 2 scholarships.
So when people contribute to the telethon, where does that money go?
That goes into the grants, for grants.
So I don't see a $21,000 or $23,000 in grants.
Joanne, I think maybe an easier way to answer that would be just when the money is received, is it put into the PNC account, the First American account, or is it into a specific account?
Tony just did this, handed this in today, and I must apologize that he did not give everything. Don't we have...
Part of it is that the 3 statements haven't been from March, April.
Don't we have a copy of the February one?
That's the February one right there.
So
Okay,
this
but
is-
it should
this
have
is
the different.
1 month of-
One month.
1 month of
So
financial
this is not up to
information.
date as what we see from other groups.
Right.
We still have to approve the other ones.
When was your last meeting?
The actual meeting where we conducted business was in April. We did not approve the minutes in May because, excuse me, the May meeting was strictly on disbursements of grant funds.
So if you had an April meeting, you had financials in that meeting, I only see a February statement.
I think the reason he didn't turn that in is because they were not approved.
But you had an April meeting, which they
Yes.
would have been at those,
And they approved the February ones at that time.
We had so much time trying to get ready for the telethon, and then afterwards dispersing the funds, so much time spent with that, the approving those.
So this statement's from February, so
Right.
you wouldn't show any, it wouldn't show the money received anyways from the telethon, because the telethon wasn't until February.
Right.
So once the March, April, May is approved, we should be able to see that on the website,
Yes,
the
as soon
summary
as,
of the
as soon as
financials.
they're approved at the June meeting, this will all be on the website.
so at the June committee of the whole, we could receive a completed report for 2013.
If you would like it separate, I mean, it'll be on the website.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, so.
Do you do anything on a yearly basis, like for 2012? Is there something that summarizes? Because, I've been looking throughout the year, and you have these posted for each month. Do you have any type of accumulated QuickBooks or anything that,
You'd have to talk to Tony Mazio on that,
okay?
because with the switching, we had a changeover of treasurers, so he's operating differently in the changeover of accountants. So Tony actually is the best one to talk about that. If you would like, I'll ask him to get in touch with you, or would you like him to get in touch with you?
Since you're using the same accountant, could you produce a similar statement like the boosters received? Is that what more you're looking for?
I'm just looking at something from February.
Just provide us who got into the report and see that they gave us summaries, they read us the difference. The music says right on there, some of the information still hasn't been updated. I don't think we should set a higher standard for one group than the other. Is there some part of the policy they're not complying with, Kevin?
I'm just asking for the summary of the financials that was sent in the invitation
Okay.
for the 2012-13 school year. Right now, I believe they're in compliance.
Okay.
Once they get these 3 months posted, they
Correct.
should be in compliance.
Okay. And if they comply by putting them on their website, right?
Correct. That's the next question, is the number 7. Maintaining the public website, which I verified again today. Their bylaws are posted. The meetings that were approved, February is the last one that's up there, as well as the financials.
I think there's another thing that you have to consider too, that seeing as the grant monies were just dispersed, there are some that will be returned, so there'll be a constant adjustment over the next few months with some of the checks that are returned to keep our balances correct. And we're working very hard to make sure that anybody who gets a check, it's going where it should. We're working on the reimbursements, that we have verification of anybody who gets a check that's considered a reimbursement.
So the invitation's asking for the school year ending at the end of June 2013?
It just says a summary of your financials for 2012-13 school year.
So they should have more months than the one going backwards, January, December, November, October?
I believe those are posted on their website.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think the only ones we're missing are March, April, May on the website.
I think they're referencing as just a snapshot for this meeting, kind of summarizing your financials for the school year.
Okay.
That's it. The public website is maintained. Challenges your organization faced in 2012-13 that the board or district can review or provide assistance with?
No, we seem to have had a very successful telethon. We got more corporate sponsorship than ever, and actually this year we raised more than last year, and we've been really pleased at the amount that's come in as opposed to the amount pledged is really very good. We didn't expect, usually you have a bigger difference. So we still have some premiums that need to be picked up, but we keep on trying to get rid of them.
So for the record, by the end of June, we should have 2013, 12 and 13.
Yeah, it'll be
Financials?
yeah.
For the record, you're stating right now, but we will have that in there.
Yes, because our fiscal year ends June 30th, 2013. After that point, after our meeting when we approve, I believe our next meeting is June 19th, that will be the meeting where we will approve these past financial statements, monthly ones, and then they will be posted, and then our year-end statement will be available.
Well,
And if,
won't be available until into July or after, right?
yeah, because our fiscal year,
Just like ours is.
Right.
Like the school, our fiscal year ends June 30th
Yeah.
of 2013, and our financials
Well, I don't want her
are
to
available
promise
after.
something that's not going to be available.
No,
So you're going to comply with our policy, Joanne, when it's available, you'll post it?
yes, that's what we've
Thank
been
you.
doing. The only reason that
Appreciate
we've been behind is because, as I said, our May meeting was strictly to disperse the grants. We had 65 grant applications this year, which is a very large number to read through and sift through and make sure that all the information is there. And we're very happy that we were able to give as much money as we were able to give. And our priority on the grants is always the students first, and then we go on to the faculty and staff.
It says on your sheet you did 19,000, approximately 19,200 in grants dispersed, 45 grants.
Right.
Do you want to highlight any big ones that maybe you worked with the district or with?
Well, the Kyle Braid, there's a few leadership workshops that students are going to, and some trips that some of them are taking. And whenever we give a grant, we always ask that the students come, or faculty and staff come back the following year and let us know what they garnered out of this trip or workshop. It's very gratifying to see how they write them, and I will just take one section out from one young man who wrote that he's at a pivotal point in his education. He's 15 years old. And I thought that was...
The grant money's dispersed to 19,223.
Right.
Is that coming from the telethon?
Right.
Or is that coming from the special funds that you're supposed to be managing?
No, that's... The grants, the monies are strictly from the telethon.
And who's overseeing the special monies that you have, the special funds?
The board as a whole. We have, as an example, the Christian First Scholarship. That is an independent scholarship set up by the First Family, and the First Family, that's what they are. The First Family, in memory of their daughter who was a student here, and she was a tennis player. They have stipulated that a scholarship be given yearly to a girl tennis player, and that person is to be selected by the girls' tennis coach. They are funding that separately, and we oversee it.
By the way, your accountant gave you all the reports on your webpage. Your reports on your webpage is through May, and I presume it was Salem Bear who got it.
Yes.
Because it's listed right on your report on your website.
Yeah. And the same with the Gwynn Scholarship that was established in memory of Robert Gwynn, a Riverside resident who had been very generous to the foundation, and upon his death, his heirs asked us to handle this and give a scholarship. So that's mainly what we do. And the Otto Hawk one was a long-standing one. He was a former industrial arts teacher here, and the only thing we had to do is update some of the wording on it, because he said it had to be done by the vocational ed chairman. Well, we no longer have that So, but we oversee the money. We try and make as much money. Unfortunately, CDs are not making what they used to make, so our interest on these is very small.
Board, any questions?
Sometime a few months back, there was, Mr. Roebling asked to see certain records. How did that ever get resolved?
Well, I would tell you, the board of the foundation, Mr. Roebling made his presentation, his request. We did not act on it immediately. We did take some advice. We had some legal advice, and we were advised no, so we voted no to not show it. It was a board decision. It was not an individual decision.
So if someone wanted to make a request to review the records of the foundation, is it a closed book?
Well, I think that really basically what they want is on our website.
Okay. And it goes back to how far last year?
I don't understand your question.
How far back do the financials go on the website?
They go back pretty far. I think they're at least into 2012.
So
And I
just
imagine that we could find more. I mean, if you're asking about 7 or 8 years ago, no.
the last 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
That we've been, that the website has come about.
What do we plan to do in our policy, Kevin? I thought we told them they had to start at that, they can go forward.
An agreement to maintain and protect its own finances, be proper fiscal responsibility. Public website provides a list of current officers, monthly and quarterly financial reports, account balances, payables, etc., and a copy of the organization's annual IRS 990.
So they're following our policy, right?
What I verified today is that they are compliant.
I'd like to make 2 points. One is, and I've said it before, we've put some burdens on our parent groups. I think they've done a nice job complying. This group's complying. I don't think the board should take a position on some individual in the community who is trying to get a parent organization to do something. I think we're opening ourselves up because, what's the next one? Somebody going to want to come in and have a problem with the PTO or the boosters. I think we set policy, which we did. Our policy is much more comprehensive than any policy that we've seen in the state. The parent groups are following that policy. Kevin's committed to that, and I think we're going down a slippery slope if we're bringing up, people in the public who have wanted something. It's not either our duty to do that, and I don't think we should take a position about what this group or anything group should do, that how they run it, unless it doesn't comply with our policy.
As I recall, there's no vote.
Thank you.
We're not voting on anything. The board member is simply asking a question, and it's certainly his right to do it. Tim, I think you're sort of stretching out reading his mind about what he's trying to do. He's asking a simple question. I see nothing wrong with it.
But it's our job to set policy, and make sure the policy is filed. I said this before, I think we should be very careful about how we're trying to tell an outside organization to manage itself. We've set policy. If those groups are following the policy, I think that's where we should draw the line on how we ask them or tell them to do things.
He's asking a question.
My concern about the financials is your biggest fundraiser is the telethon. You give me financials at the end of May that doesn't even show the financials for the telethon. And you tell me that's your major fundraiser. I have a concern about that. And if you had a meeting and everything else like that, if you're doing it every month, and your telethon was in February, we're at the end of May now, at least should have been showing up and showing us.
That is not what the policy says.
Well, I'm telling you right now, what they're giving me as financial information is not the financial information that's complete. The other groups gave us complete financial information on what they're doing.
Again, It's not a question of what they did or what they didn't do.
Excuse me, it's one board member and another board member expressing concern or expressing their opinion.
Well,
All right,
then-
and you've already expressed your opinion on it.
I'll
I'm
express it
expressing
again
mine.
since you editorialized me again, because you are one board member. You don't have any more say-so than me on this. Our duty is to set policy and see if people follow it. If one group came in with 12 boxes of information, it doesn't mean the next one has to. What we have to do is say, what's the policy, and is the group following it? We asked Kevin, he read it, they have to do a report by the end of the year, which is in June. It'd be like saying, why don't we have our report done right now? Okay? And I just think we should just be, people have done a lot, they've done what they asked, they're complying with the policy. I think we should say thank you, and please post your report at the end of the year like the policy says.
Tim, we can ask questions beyond any policy. If she doesn't want to answer the question, it's certainly her right, but you're basically trying to censor other boards members asking a question. Let her decline to answer it.
I haven't declined to
Laura
answer
Rusk is not
anything.
here. She talks all the time. Mike hardly ever talks. I want to hear him talk and ask a question, because he asks good questions. I don't think it's...
May I interject at this point?
Certainly.
I have no problem with Mike Welch's question. It's a legitimate question that probably has been hovering, and he answered it. I mean, I answered it to the best of my knowledge. You must understand, when a decision comes from the RBEF, it is not a Joanne Kosey decision. It is a decision voted on by all the trustees of that board. Do I always agree with it? No. But I go along with what the majority rules. That's how it works. Mr. Cindy, I understand why you are questioning why an event that was held in February, we do not have the financial report in front of you tonight in May. That is because it works a little bit different. We don't get the money in all that night. We didn't make out our checks until last week. So it's a little bit difficult to have given you a report much earlier. What we want to give you is a very comprehensive report and a complete report. So if you will bear with us, it's not a matter of holding anything back. It's a matter of giving you the right information and the complete information. I hope that answers your question.
Any other board comment? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, we're going to move on to